Good morning or afternoon or whatever time it is for you today. I want to offer another meditation. This one is more focusing on your body and gratitude, which I figure would be really good this time of year. This time of year, a lot of folks can sometimes feel sad and depressed and frustrated, especially during COVID, but the holidays in general can be a really hard time. So I'm going to go ahead and start the meditation series. If you can lie down, that's awesome. If it happens to be first thing in the morning for this, that's the ideal time, or right before bed, to kind of get your mind calm so that you're not thinking as much about the negative things going on and instead appreciating all of the positive things that are going on. And once I get started, I'm going to shift down so that you can take a look at this steaming hot, actually just water, but I figured it'd look a little cooler than tea with the steam coming out. But hopefully that will be a relaxing image if you are keeping your eyes open. So go ahead, get into a comfortable position, and we will get started. Take some time to notice your breathing. You don't need to force anything or make your breath any certain way, but just notice that it exists. You might notice the warmth of your breath coming out of your nostrils. You might notice the coolness of the breath going into your nostrils. You might be breathing in through your mouth. Now, in this gratitude meditation, we're going to focus a lot on the body and the things that it does for you every day. It's not uncommon to get stuck thinking about the things in our bodies that we wish were different, whether it's appearance or it's how they function. Maybe we notice we're different from others. We're not as athletic. Our weight isn't what we want it to be. We had an injury and that injury is frustrating us. Maybe we were born pretty different in some way physically, and we notice that in comparison to others. Things are more difficult for us. So first, take a moment and notice a part of your body that has the most sensation right now. It might be your nostrils that we were just talking about. It might be your feet, if you've been already moving around a lot today, or you're feeling a little antsy. It might be your back. Maybe it's been hurting. Notice that part of your body. And as you notice, think of all the things that part of your body does for you without you ever having to ask. How wonderful it is that your body does all of these things for you every day without asking. You don't have to think about breathing most of the time. You probably don't have to think about walking or other ways that you get around. You don't have to think about maintaining your body temperature or your heart beating or your mind thinking. All of these things happen by themselves. And for most people, they've been happening since the day that you were born, and even before that. So now I'm just going to go through different body parts. Some of these you may not have or may have different from other people, but I'm going to scan through different ones. So if there's one that really doesn't apply to you, just focus on that part of your body you were just focusing on, that part that was most in your attention, and then rejoin us in thinking about a body part that does apply to you once we get there. So notice your feet. Your feet that carry you around everywhere you go. Your feet that could potentially run and walk and jump and skip, that can kick, that helps you balance. And take a moment and just give your feet some love. Send some love to your feet. A thank you. Thank you, feet, for all that you do. Now notice your hands. Your hands that help feed you, that get you dressed in the morning, that help you clean yourself, that help you show affection to other people, that allow you to feel heat and warmth and coolness, that allow you to throw snowballs, that allow you to shovel. And just take a moment and thank your hands. Send them some love. Thank you, hands, for all that you do. Now take a moment to notice your face and how your face feels. We don't often think about how our face feels. We're usually more focused on how it looks, unless you have a lot of pain somewhere in your face. But just notice it. Notice your jaw, your mouth, your nose, your eyes, your ears. There's so much that your face allows for you in life. It allows you to smell, to see, to move around with ease, to hear, to smell, to taste, to breathe, to eat, to talk, to show emotions in a way that other people can recognize, to yell out if you need help, to cry. And just take a moment and thank your face for all that it does for you every day without you ever having to ask. Now let's take a moment to notice an internal organ. Let's notice your brain. Such a complicated organ. And our brains are some of the most complicated brains in the world. They allow us to notice everything around us, to recognize those things, to recognize patterns, to connect times and places, to remember. The brain allows us to exist, to move, to think, to dream, to imagine. The brain sometimes can be one of our biggest sources of frustration because we're angry at the way that we think or the way that we feel or the way that we make decisions. But just think of all of those things your brain does for you all the time that you don't notice, that you take for granted, that you would notice if things were different and your brain didn't do those things for you. If you couldn't recognize somebody's face and you loved that person. If you couldn't move around easily in the space around you because your body couldn't understand balance. That you couldn't think through a problem and find a solution. That you couldn't remember wonderful things that have happened and people that have passed away that you love so much. And take a moment to thank your brain for all that it does for you every day without asking. Thank you, brain, for all that you do. You really are magical, along with our hands and our feet and our faces and our entire bodies are all kind of magical. They do all these things without having to be asked. And now let's take this outside of our bodies for just a moment. Expand that gratitude. There can be gratitude in things, even though they're not our bodies and they're not our minds or our thoughts. Our relationship to our things can be really, really powerful. Think about the place that you sleep. It might be a bed or a couch, but think how wonderful it is to have something to sleep on. And think about how amazing it is that you have access somewhere to warm water or just running water in general. Not everyone has that. And someone created the possibility for that. And think about your favorite dishware item. Is there something, a mug or a glass that someone gave you, something that gives you a lot of joy? What about a favorite piece of furniture? Is there something that just brings you joy just by it existing? Maybe it's a picture you have framed that brings you joy. It's just a thing, but it matters. And thinking of that thing, just send it some love and say thank you for existing. How magical that you exist. Whether it's a cup that someone had to design and print on and enamel, or if it's a couch that someone had to upholster and design, or maybe it's a picture and just the technology of taking a picture and printing it out, that so much went into that, and it's kind of magical that it even exists. I hope that you carry this gratitude throughout your day. It's really, really easy to get the grumbles, especially if you're not able to spend time with your family or extended family this season, or your gifts look different, or people in your family are struggling to make ends meet. It can be really hard to get bogged down and forget about all the things you're still taking for granted. There are all these things around you, whether it's your body, your mind, objects, that can still comfort you, and they're still working just fine. You're going to be okay. We'll all get through this together, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you for being with me today.